Team Freedom with the adjustments in Game 2. They just weren't quite enough. Maybe too far. We don't know. It's hard to tell. There were some Stitches, there was some Zagara, but Teammate, they had it covered. They had it covered.
They found the rabbit hole, and they promptly jumped right in as far as they could go. Maybe got lost. We don't know. We haven't seen the next game draft, but yeah, the first pick, Zagara. Zagara has not seen any changes. As my paper floats across, she's not seen any changes between the last patch and the 2.0 patch that we're going to be playing on now. She wasn't first picked before, and in the few cases she was drafted very high. It was with an adjustment, with a very different playstyle and a different composition. So it's just, because you were going to
Gale Force did first pick.
Yeah, the second, yeah. It's just that it's a very different style, and I guess I just want to get that across because what we just witnessed out of that draft for Freedom, we know 2.0, nothing's concrete or totally even figured out yet, but what they didn't have much, at least from my perspective, not like, you know, oh, here goes the Zagara, and then you see the inkling of the composition that you saw at a Gale Force the 2 times that we've seen it ran. It was just kind of like, some North American teams have been playing Zagara, so we're going to do it too, and here's our first pick. That's what it felt like to me, you know? And obviously that's not the case, but it's just like at first glance, you know, it just feels very like, we heard Zagara's being played around, you know? Maybe this is, hello, you know?
Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Maybe it was a composition that was destroying in scrims, and it came into Teammate's comp, or maybe even just Teammate were able to pick the right things, that it wasn't fully what Freedom wanted to show us on Braxis Holdout. Now we're on to Game 3.
Sky Temple is going to be the map.
Team Freedom has first pick, first ban. It's the first time we're seeing Sky today.
First time we're seeing Sky today?
Yep.
That is correct. Sorry, for some reason I thought that statement you just made was far more profound than it was. I was like, we haven't seen Sky, and for some reason I thought it was like in this part or something, like, you know, and I was like, really?
It's today.
Yeah.
So what I meant by it was the first time we were seeing this particular battleground with 2.0 drafts.
Nice. Let's get her done. I am ready for it. Put on that Wyoming twang, in case you didn't know where I was from. Although technically Wyoming is not a very iconic accent. She's from the place with that accent. Texas?
Texas.
She said she wasn't going to do it, and then I baited her into it.
I don't know what y'all are talking about.
That was good. That was good.
Not really. I'm actually from Kansas, where we don't have much of an accent.
Yeah, you got that weird Middle East, or Midwest, not Middle Eastern accent. You definitely do not. It's a Midwest accent.
I call soda pop.
You got, it's pop?
Yeah.
Do you have a long A? Never mind, I'll get to it later. Malfurion and Greymane. Cassie was banned, just flat banned in this draft. Interesting. It makes sense because it's a skirmish-focused map more than some of the others that we've seen today. She doesn't have much in the wave clear department. She is very, very team fight focused. I just didn't. I honestly had no idea thinking that we would see her that high up, but I guess it makes sense, especially considering how strong her level 1 is. You need to be close together, a lot of people, get those auto attacks. Sky Temple makes a lot of that. So
she has a lot of area damage between her level 1 and level 7 talents. Charge Strikes and Surge of Light. But it's weird to see. I wonder if it's going to be more telling of a ban once we get through the rest of the draft for Teammate. If it's maybe a counter to what they want to play here. Is that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You might be right, but I've never. That's one of those situations I've never seen before. Like at the beginning of a patch that a team bans out a new hero because they want to run something that it just works in, that they want to run a, you know, it's a counter to. It's just not impossible, just never seen it before. And I'm one of those weird people that really likes to look at the past to be able to figure out the future.
I had no clue. Uther ban.
That makes a lot more sense with the Malfurion picked up. You know, we didn't see the Lieutenant Morales above all else like last game.
Also, Greymane and Noombarak already picked, but this does. It's possible if Teammate wants to run Greymane Abathur.
Leo Chromie.
Bringing back the Chromie.
What do you think about that? Does any...
I think that Teammate loves Chromie right now.
Yeah. They just put Prismat on that whenever they can. Wow. That is just, to see that rotation twice in one series and with no strong indicator, yeah, Teammate really a fan of that Chromie.
They haven't lost with her yet.
To be fair, that's only 2 times, right?
4.
4?
And 5 after the last game.
Wow. They do. I, for some reason, only felt like we've had like 3 games off the top of my head with them on that. 2 to 3. But, well.
So Vala, Zarya, Malfurion as a triple threat combo. Still need a warrior for Team Freedom. Who's Zugrug playing? Muradin.
Okay, so when the rest of your draft takes a step back in the meta, then so does your melee assassin priority going with the Illidan? I'm just saying, these drafts feel like they're quickly taking a step back to other metas, and it makes a bit of sense because obviously the buff onto things like the Uther, but like that Illidan just coming out, you know, it's not unheard of to see Illidan played in North America, but in this comp in that moment, not a single time would I have said, oh yeah, this is the Illidan comp.
He's been played quite a lot in North America, especially last week.
Double melee assassin death balls is most of the time where he's played. It's not in a, here's just an Illidan comp. You know what I mean? Without a burst, without Malfurion, just the Zarya to promote it, it just feels very strange to see that. And not that one, not near as a negative tone. That one is just more of, you know, it's really, it's awesome to see the kind of thought process that can infect the minds of North American players and slowly everybody kind of get onto the same page. And the fact that he's back makes sense. He was never nerfed. He just dropped in value for some reason.
Do you feel like this will be a hunt game again, utilizing Illidan's possibility for being a global hero, or would you like to see Metamorphosis? I know which way I'm leaning.
Please tell me it's Metamorphosis and not the hunt. All right. I was going to say, like, if we see a hunt here, at best, it can just go 1 for 1. That's like a winning situation if you pick a hunt into this composition. You just go 1 for 1, you kill the Chromie, you lose your own life. But Metamorphosis into the damage that they have, it would be so valuable. You have enough cross-supporting. You have the Malfurion Zarya to really help enable you. That's when meta gets that much better. You can cycle 1 shield rotation, meta dodge damage, get increased health, another shield rotation.
Yeah, it's a great double threat composition for Freedom because it really does leave Vala pretty safe because everyone will be trying to focus on keeping Illidan off of things like Greymane, and especially Chromie.
And that's actually going to force Vala to play differently around it, actually. It leads to, so when you have this kind of composition, you strafe about, it's only like a second earlier than you normally would, but it's very important to get it done because if you strafe for kills, you're never going to kill anything. But if you strafe to set up your Illidan, that's where you kill everything.
The janitor comes in.
Exactly. He comes in, just cleans the room, and he's like, all right, now that this is done, I'll take my free shots.
Well, let's see how Team Freedom can use this Illidan composition because they need every win from here on out if they want to stay in this series. We'll see you on Sky Temple.
I think that's a really cool dynamic because essentially the reason why, at least until you hit 16, you open with that strafe, is based on the fact that Illidan has so much chase, he's so good against low health pools, and strafe can set them up, but Vala is not as good at chasing as the Illidan, so by strafing and prepping everyone, he can make sure everyone for real dies, whereas Vala is merely just the setup until you get frost shots. Then it doesn't matter. Anybody can get the kills. But definitely going to be more of an AoE game expected out of the Vala. Poke build.
What does Teammate need to do to make sure that they can keep Illidan away from just cleaning up everybody like you said? I
feel like they're going to Cocoon #1 this game. Go for the throw. Any single target DPS timeout for the Chromie, maybe even a bye-bye. Divine Palm, never a bad choice, but we know in North America that's kind of a less standard supporting choice. I really do feel like if they go Palm, I feel like there's a lot of hope. If we see 7-sided, then Metamorphosis out, wait for it to go down, reset the fight, reinitiate. Only Cocoon can get that kill then. That's why I would like to see Palm, but I can't tell if you can tell by the tone of my voice, but I have a really hard time talking about Kharazim's in North America.
I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about not liking 7-sided strike before.
No, I don't. I don't think I've ever said that. It's just, it hits a point where I can't say it anymore without dying a little bit on the inside. You know what I mean? Like, you can only reference one of the most insane heroic choices for a support so many times in a not get picked for me to just be like, all right, well, we have another poor damage dealer, but also a poor support on this team.
Now you have 7-sided strike and resurrect to be excited about.
Dude, resurrect. Dude, it's weird. Resurrect is so weird. Because my first thought when I saw that, I was like, busted. Just busted. That no matter what, I can res. Like, I think, for instance, Hero League could be crazy, right? People get picked left and right, but it's a 2-minute cooldown. That's the problem.
It is a very long cooldown until you can get light speed at level 20.
You know, I love your optimism, but anytime you're
banking on a 20 to win a game
is a bad time. It's always going to be a bad time.
Well, Team Freedom have been using the strong 3-man they have to siege in the bottom lane, looking toward the next Thornbolt. Follow up. Insomnia's there. No body blocks. There they are. First Blood. Using that strong 3-man in the bottom lane, looking toward the second temple phase, but are also keeping a hold of here in the middle.
That was a really good thing for Freedom. The fact that they ended up getting that pick, Murder can go up to top, deny a couple of shots.
Grenade?
Wow, Dansky there, hanging the wrist, getting the nade. And Bud's coming down, being Punchman McGee, not going to do too much damage.
I love the ragdoll physics of Heroes of the Storm.
I'll be honest, they used to really bother me. Like, way back in Alpha, I was like, this is
Did
one
it
of the...
just tilt you and your body was thrown
It's gotten, the longer I've gotten to experience it, the more I enjoy it. Where it's just, especially when that casual one just flies across the screen.
Like that one!
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I agree with you. Just, I remember early on, whenever I would see someone throw across, I'd be like, why is all this craziness going on my screen? But now I find this weird piece in it. Especially when I, like, ragdoll the opponents when I kill them. Because then, I don't know why, but it makes you feel like you messed them up even harder.
Yes,
you know, like,
exactly.
Nothing makes you feel like you've messed someone up harder than last hitting them with a haymaker, and then their body just flings across the map, right? Like.
Well, I'm glad that you have moved away from your fun police stance.
Yeah. No, I've decided to. It's going to be a phasing process for me, where I'm going to try and bring in the fun one step at a time. But I figured we don't want to overdo it. You know, don't get too wild and crazy. Just try to enjoy whatever Ragdoll physics can bring to competitive Heroes of the Storm. Good laning phase, though, coming up from Freedom on Sky Temple. Not something you hear me say almost ever about Sky Temple and laning phases, but they have really taken advantage of the fact that the lack of wave clear existing on the side of Team A.
And Team A already got their bruisers. That was dealt with, and the fort stays alive for Team Freedom. So now Freedom can rotate down, get their own bruisers. They are having to deal with the siege in the bottom lane from Team 8. Depending on how much Team 8 can get done with that, might be able to equalize that kind of pressure that's hit the bottom lane, but great things from Team Freedom in Game 3, which is exactly what we need to see because they are down the first 2 games of the series.
They need this. Absolutely need it, and it would be so much better for them going into tomorrow, which you and I talked about a little bit, but we cannot get that series, like the severity of that series across even any harder. Yeah. For Freedom.
It's Freedom versus No Tomorrow. You guys know where they're sitting in standings. No Tomorrow's in 7th. Freedom's in 6th. 7th and 8th will go to the Crucible, potentially losing their spot in HGC.
We've already got one Crucible team, 100%.
Right, yes, Naventic.
And so that is going to decide if they could get even just a win here. The mentality, what that would be able to do for them going into tomorrow, it would just, every part of this series matters to them just off morale alone.
And the difficulty for Freedom is that matchup, the head-to-head in Part 1, that was the only series that No Tomorrow won. They beat Team Freedom. So already Team Freedom sort of at a disadvantage there, but yet they are ahead slightly in standings. So it's going to come down to the wire for these two teams. Who joins Naventic in the Crucible? And winning games here, winning the series especially, is an important first step for Freedom and staying away from that.
When it comes to heroics,
the hunt. Expulsion Zone. Don't know why I said that one. That one is a given. But Freedom having heroics ahead of Team 8 and Expulsion Zone are going to try to take this boss before Team 8 gets to heroic abilities.
they're going to be able to start it off. Nobody on teammate is at least shown to have any interest. Justing's wobbled his way on down. Got the vision, but it's going to go over to Freedom here in this game. They've got the shot advantage. They've got structural advantage. They've got a boss. Things are looking up. No, Tomorrow's just got to find a way to execute after this point. You know, they've gotten a couple of windows. You need to figure out how to shut them onto your opponents as you are casually walking across the finish line, killing the core, whatever your win condition is, Team Freedom.
Curse of Bullet is the change-up of heroic ability now for Greymane. Mule was also picked up from Malfurion, so no cleanse, but not a whole lot of things to cleanse from teammates' composition. Yes.
I'm just dying a little bit on the inside. We got the Hunt, we got Seven-Sided, and we got Web Rat. We got about the Holy Trinity here out of heroic choices. Just between what you and I thought with the Metamorphosis versus the Hunt argument, is going to be more global focus, so we'll see what that means for the Illidan here in this game and the survivability, but that changes the impact on whether or not Seven-Sided Strike is better. Because Seven-Sided is only better, I don't know, man.
If somebody can be separated, but there is Entomb.
But well, see, that's the thing is Hunt. A Hunt separates Illidan. The reason you meta is not for the HP, it's literally to buy time for your team to be able to join you when you're starting an advantageous fight. But now that he's going to be Hunt, he can go in on his own with the Hunt. Seven-Sided actually is realistic. It makes Chromie have to depend on her timeout, which she has already. So now you can just blow up the Illidan, cocoon the Malfurion when he moves up, and the kill target can change. So Seven-Sided became way more appealing after seeing that. As long as Chromie's the kill target, Greymane should be able to hold zone, and Nubarak and Leo can just bounce right on out. So I like whether it was an adjustment or not, I don't know, out of butts, but I like the choice now.
The tempo phase has started, but Team 8 is sort of late to the party with it. They did get Leoric down in the bottom lane, so it would be a 4v5. Technically 4v4, but remember that Illidan has the Hunt, so he can join this fight, not in the same way that Leoric can. So teammate needs to remember this as they start the fight. Also, Team Freedom are very close to 13. Stormbolt, the Hunt, Root underneath. Flowerung stays alive. Twilight Dream did go off. It got stopped. Justing, very low. Insomnia wants to continue the chase. He takes him out. So even though teammates stopped Twilight Dream, they still lost one.
They get the pick, and that is going to lead to more shots being traded. 3 forts are going to fall here on the side of Team 8. No way, I thought I had that calculated. I suck. Mid fort still stands though for both sides, and top fort still existing for Freedom, so they're ahead when it comes to the structures still. They've just got to find a way to, I guess they can just trade out shots the rest of the game, but that would lead to a 20-on-20. Just looking for a window for Freedom to actually be able to push their small advantages, you know, rather than waiting for the next major objective and it coming down to the team fight. Sadly, they don't really have one of those, at least not here on Sky, but that's also part of the map. It's just, Sky Temple is very shrine-oriented because the objective is so strong. Unlike we talked about earlier with shrines and how weak those Punishers can be. 13-on-13. Teammates moved up to this fort.
The nice thing for Freedom is they do have Illidan with the Hunt. He can try to split soak while the rest of the team keeps these structures alive. And Team 8 were not able to siege down this mid fort yet. Knowing that Team Freedom has Mule, this could prompt them to make a risky, aggressive move, not wanting to let that heal back up because Team Freedom have such a structural advantage now.
Another camp given up as well. Team 8 is going to make up for the lack of wave clear by Merc camp pressure. Anytime they can get those for free, it really does help Team 8 so very much. Even if it draws only one resource, it's a winning trade. The Mule being killed out.
Cocktail over the side, from the side to get that.
And
the siege continues for Team 8.
I didn't even think about that because, again, not really expecting to see the Hunt in this game. That means another defensive tool. When he goes in, if they do not get a kill, it should really set them back. Last time the Seven-Sided got very little value. It hit 3 targets, so nobody was really pressured. And I feel like a lot of the reason why Justing there on the Anubarak with the Locust Swarm, or not having the Locust Swarm, not having a support with a major supporting, was so easy to get picked off. But if they open up these fights, teammates should have a very offensive open and a really quick finish to these skirmishes.
I like that siege showed how frustrating it can be to play versus Mule. When you know that you've gotten a fort low and then it doesn't go down from the shots, you're forced to make this scary siege and rotation, but thankfully Teammate played that out responsibly. They had a lot of poke possibilities with their composition to take it out. Only one temple available in this phase. This is Teammate's window to get a fight started before Freedom gets 16.
Can they force it? Illidan's still just pressuring out Giants and getting rid of those on bottom. Teammates comfortable just casually taking the shots.
Yeah, Freedom know that that fort is full health, so they had some time. Cocoon went down. Zugrug's going to go on top of Prismaticism. Stormbolt does connect. Here comes the hunt to follow up too. Insomnia and Zugrug trying to take down Prismaticism, but so far haven't been able to. Justin goes back in with Burrow Charge and takes out one. Twilight Dream tries to get a kill. So many members of Team 8 low, but Team 8 take down the one. They get the fort along with the tower shots or the temple shots, and they make it out from Team Freedom 16. That was just about perfect.
To be honest, I feel like if these teams were dead even, Freedom would be dominating this game in terms of skill. It just a little bit of focus fire, like when it comes to the compositions, because Team 8 has had about as sloppy as a start to these fights as it could possibly be when it comes to their initiations. Like even there, that last fight, for instance, the opening onto it was a 7-sided strike that hit 1 out of the 7 sides onto a Murden. That was the initiation of the fight, and things are not falling apart. We saw it in the first fight too. It's just not falling apart, and I feel like a lot of that comes down to just Teammate being as good a team as they are, holding their composure, their mentality in these team fights. Like, the minute Teammate gets a comfortable fight, I just feel like even with how lopsided it feels like these comps are, they're going to body. There goes the timeout.
The timeout, plenty of time to get Chromie back. She's going to stop that early because Zugrug's in trouble. 7-sided strike got enough of the damage to take him down, and now Insomnia finds himself on the backside of the fight. Goes to Collusion, who is inside of Entomb. Illidan drops. Can Collusion make it out in time out of Ice Block? Looks like no, there is nowhere to run.
They did it. They started the fight, and they opened it how they wanted to. Very swift start and end to the fight here for Team 8. It's just really interesting to see how that played out because so anytime you can gauge a compositional error when playing, the biggest thing for me always was when you do a lot of things that you know in every other circumstance, or most of the time when you do it, you get a really good outcome out of it. So what I mean by that is, like, if I hit a 1 HP Ancestral on top of you, that is generally a game-winning Ancestral. But if I can do that twice in a game and I cannot beat you in a game, there is a bigger problem than just play. And that is the strongest indicator. So for instance, when Teammate opens 2 fights in a row, having some of the worst value out of the heroics they could ask for, and they still almost win both those fights, it's usually like, there's a problem here in comps, being one way or the other, which is why it felt that way in the last fight we saw. Anywhere near a smooth opening, Teammate just obliterated. And we'll see if it happens again. The boss is still pressuring on bottom.
Entomb is a possibility, so is Cocoon. Freedom chasing it back. Hunt hits Yoda, cleanse, gets Yoda back, but he's still low. Insomnia wants to chase him down, try to get that kill, but he's just getting ripped apart from a 7-sided strike.
He gets the 7-sided strike and the kill. Yoda, Twilight Dream, hits 2 members, and Nubarak goes down. Yoda's so very, very low, but he has not fallen. The boss still alive there. Up on bottom, got the keep. And these shots are going to be traded. Even being down a man, the members of Team 8 are sticking around.
Team Freedom trying to hold on to this, but the Chromie poke is real, and they have not been healed back up enough. The boss starting to punch the core, but with a mule, they can heal that right back up as soon as the boss. Well, that's unfortunate.
Remember when boss has a search mule function? I've never seen someone get accidentally wrecked so hard in my life. It was the minute the thing touched the ground and the last second of the boss existing, and he just throws down a casual tornado, says, screw your mule, and I want this 87% core.
Next mule, they'll be fine.
Just wait out a minute, it'll be good. Oh man. A better fight for Freedom though. In that last skirmish, they got the 2 kills that they needed. When they used the hunt to all in, they were able to get a pick, and that is what they need here in this game. Chromie's not an option anymore with timeout. Nobody's really an option with cleansing touch there. Onto the Karzim. At least everybody's less appealing of an option now. It's hit the moment where the you know, the Illidan Hunt game is not as scary as it once was.
He also was not quite so tunnel focused on the fight too, went back for a second, and then the Entomb seemed so good to be able to catch people on the retreat, but Team Freedom able to stay alive, sustain through that. Now they need to get 20 though, because Team 8 is very close to that, and despite having Mule, it's Team Freedom who finds himself down the first keep of the game.
Not too often you see that on Sky Temple, the team with Mule behind in structures, at least not at this point in the way that they are here. Team Freedom is showing that they've got it in them though, and again, that they need to get as much momentum as possible out of this series. Obviously a win would be huge, but more importantly than anything, just keeping morale high, using these as scrims to make sure that they are successful in their series tomorrow. Otherwise they may find themselves in a crucible. This is one of my least favorite things to do in the world of competitive play, and that is not show anywhere on the map, because if you give any information, you pretty much throw the game, but you need that soak. And so you all just hit in your base, drop. I guess you can drop sprays now. You couldn't do that before, but.
That's another way of keeping morale high. Hanging out, throwing some sprays around. You got the Varian one? Yep, so do I.
11-sided is where we're gonna get there out of buds. For the upgrade, everyone else, double rewind, bolt. Not surprising. Not global
we'll
hunt.
see Crypt Weave, but it is justing. So anything's possible. You already showed us Hive Master, the upgrade to one of Anubarak's heroic abilities.
Right. 22 seconds. Shrines are going to spawn up. Nobody's threatening game yet. Top is going to benefit Team Freedom because they will be able to secure the first keep for them. No shrine is an advantage for Team 8. Either one is going to be just fine and dandy for them to take.
Team 8 much more willing to just fight it out. Cocoon has already been used. Let's fall it inside. Expulsion Zone trying to stop him away from it. It is Nasmus, and he is just taken out once again from 7-sided strike. The zoning capabilities of Team 8's composition, again netting them a kill, and at a perfect time at the start of the Temple phase.
You could see the communication in that play between Buds and Justing. Because Justing, about the whole time, could have gone in on Vala and just went for the trade, but Buds was like, all right, you could just see him like the Anubarak swarming around, waiting for him to press the R button so they can get the double stun, get the kill, and really secure the lead here for Team 8 in this, what could be final game, is they're getting an advantage on those shots on top. They have the option to either push into the base, zoning this bottom Insomnia away, because keep in mind he does not have the global hunt.
Team 8 will take down this mid fort, even having, or top fort, keep having a few shots left for the mid.
So hard, isn't it? Town Hall.
Yeah, why don't we just do that?
It is actually really weird, because there is no major difference between a fort and a keep, you know, and then depending on the map, we have bell towers, for instance, on Towers of Doom, but then we don't have any forts on that map itself. It's, you know, the whole terminology thing is just, it's all over the place.
And Freedom had to separate from this. There's Cocoon once again. His Buds move into position. He has 7-sided strike, justing zoning, but nobody yet is going to do that. Teammates stepping back, didn't want to get caught in a bad position with the rest of Freedom coming back.
Triple keep, she's out.
Yeah, that
down.
was just enough with the rest of the shots that Team 8 were able to get, and it stopped Team Freedom from taking out a keep.
And they say, time's up, we're gonna go get the boss once again. This is the Freedom, at least in this series, staple. When everything is against the wall, we're just gonna start boss. Who's gonna come out this time?
Only Zogrug's on the point if he gets cocooned from this. Expulsion Zone's there too, though. Team Freedom takes the boss. Yoda walked in, gets taken down fast, trying to entomb the rest away. The Expulsion Zone was able to land on the point.
Shout out to Zugrug for the world's best Murden trap pose that I've ever seen in my entire life. And the members of Team 8 say, well, we're going for core. They know that the boss could end the game itself, so they're going to go to core. Now the question is, do they back out? They go in. Man, 7-sided strike is going to be dropped. Cocoon is already used. Zugrug eats that cursed bullet, but no damage coming out from the Chromie. Twilight Dream
does so much to Team 8, though. Glaurung is so
90.
close to being taken down. The Mule is there, but taken out as well. Team Freedom staying alive, justing. Only one left on the court. Prismaticism throwing out his abilities as he can. Timeout will take some time away from this, but that means it's only Justine here on the core. It's at 40% before teammate is wiped.
And meanwhile, Freedom's got the boss. They're going in, and they have got themselves a game here. Furthering the series, we at least have a game number 4, but that was a very tense last couple of seconds. Team 8, you could tell they very much thought that boss was 100% going to be game, and they had a lot of different ways they could approach the end game, but they had a very stubborn, you know, you could just see the call was, boss is gone, go core. Like, no matter what. There was no playing around with it in question, because, you know, a Sky Temple boss is not that threatening to the core. It was late game, but it just felt like there was more tools teammate could have used at the very end of the game, and they just didn't even venture outward at all.
Would you have liked to see them fight behind boss?
This is the weird thing about hypotheticals, is I always need infinite drawing to be able to I mean, you'll probably, but for your average listener at home, might be a little bit quick. Essentially, then you send one. You don't even have to show anybody, because number one, you don't know where your opponents are. They went for the boss before they even tested whether or not the boss could be pushed out at all. So you wait till you see where your opponents commit with the boss. If they back right away, you get a boss for free. If they send anybody with it, you match them directly, always, because you will win the race. Because that keep was still buying a little bit of time on bottom. The rotation of the walk is way too long, so you have a 30-second advantage over your opponents. You see where they go. You match them 1 for 1. You have 30 seconds to out-damage them.
Okay.
That is it. Oh, and if they send everybody back, you go, oh, I'm taking my back 2 from your core, and now I'm getting rid of this boss. Then you go, well, I have all 3 of your keeps down. I can make the shots my win condition in the next rotation. It just wasn't a must, and you could see that they were just very much, this is it. Once it's down, this boss is down, screw it, we're going for the core.
Yeah, nice job from Team Freedom recognizing that they could take the boss, because that was a scary spot, but it was just about the only chance they had in being able to come back in that game, being down so many structures by that point. So that lets Team Freedom stay in this series. It is now tied, or not tied up, but it's 2-1. We'll come back to game 4 after this.
So I'm joined by Tony Sue. We're going to play some, I wanted to say ninjas, but we're actually playing heroes, and I'm playing a ninja.
Ninjas and pandas.
You might have heard I'm probably the best Genji EU at the moment. Actually,
I think I'm number 2, actually. But.
Well, I don't know about that, but... All right, boss time, yo.
So the awesome thing about the boss is he is a gigantic samurai robot. He's got a really cool kama. He has this lantern, or he's got a big... little ball of chain at the other end that he makes a big fire and kills a bunch of people with.
Actually, gonna solo that boss.
Wait, yeah, no, you probably shouldn't. He's gonna eat you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got your back. Go for it.
Oh my, I don't know about that.
Would a panda lie to you? I don't think so.
They don't seem trustworthy.
Yeah. He just ate you again.
Can we?
Yeah.